Hi everybody, this is Oksana. So this is a fun little video because what I did is I went back to a really old tutorial from years ago, and if you're curious which one it is, I'll link that down below. And I didn't remember that tutorial very well because it was so long ago, so I watched it really quickly. I just kind of skipped through it so I would get the general idea, and then in this tutorial I use the same kind of principles of trapping in the stone, but then I just finished it off however it works out. And it worked out quite a bit differently, actually. I thought it was going to end up looking similar, but it actually looks really different. Just the bottom part is the only part that is like really similar. So this is kind of a fun little tutorial because it came out really funky looking. It's like, it looks maybe like a little mushroom if the bottom was a little different. But I think it's pretty cool, and for those of you that don't like the swirls, this turned out to be, very non-swirly. So I hope that you enjoy. If you want to see how I made this, just keep watching. So I'm starting out with some 20 gauge square copper. This is dead soft from riogrande.com, and you just need 2 pieces, and mine are probably too long, but I wasn't sure where I was going with this design, so I wanted to give myself some extra. So 13 inches, and my stone, it's a little more than an inch. It's 1.25 inches, or like 33 millimeters roughly. And then you're also gonna need, a little bit later on, some 26 gauge round copper wire. Just you can use half round if you wanted to. It's a little bit harder to weave a pattern with half round, so I thought I'd just go with the round this time. And I'm using some pliers, round nose pliers, and wire cutters from Swanstrom. These came in a set. So I'm going to start out by trying to figure out where the middle of these 2 wires is. You can measure it, you can eyeball it, you can kind of bend them in half and like roughly see where it is. So once you determine that, what you want to do is have a little spot like this in the middle. This is where you're going to do your weaving. You need to do like a little bit of weaving. And this is the pattern that I'm going to do. But feel free to do a different weaving pattern if you prefer. And you can do this with half round, or you can also do this with a thinner wire like 28 gauge, but I'm doing it with some 26 gauge round wire that I happen to have on hand. So I'm putting this around the bottom wire first. I'm going to do 3 wraps around the bottom wire, and then I'm just gonna go around both of the wires like this, and that is the whole pattern. So around the bottom wire 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then the whole thing around everything 1 time. And you can kind of see the pattern starting to form now. So you just want to do this for a little bit, maybe like 1 inch, because this is just going to be a little decoration on the bottom of our pendant. So I'll just do this off camera real quick so you don't have to watch me do it over and over, and I'll be right back. Alright, so here we go. I ended up repeating this pattern about 10 times, or not about, exactly 10 times, and then I ended with 3 wraps on the bottom, just like I started, so it would be symmetrical, and it ended up being just the tiniest bit less than 1 inch. If we're doing millimeters, it's like 20 millimeters, almost exactly 20 millimeters. So now we just need to finish off the little wires, little wire ends. So what I'm gonna do in this particular case is I'm gonna trim them so that the end is kind of here on this edge, because the back and the front will actually be more or less exposed in this design. So if you have a little wire end, it's better to just have it here on this edge. So there it is. I like to just kind of go over it with my pliers, kind of press it down so it doesn't stick up. There we go. It's just here on this edge. So that'll be more or less hidden. So now you just want to bend it to form like a little triangular bend on the bottom, just like this. And what you want to do now is you want to take the first wire and push it back, and then take the next wire and push it forward. And here as well, the outer edge wire, push it back, and then this inner wire here, push it forward, just like this. So here's what you have, and then you're going to take your stone, and we're going to take a look at the stone to see how I want to position it. So like this, and we are going to kind of sit it in here, like a little cradle for our stone. And we're gonna bend the wires kind of on the sides of the stone. So these inner wires are gonna stay inside, and then the other wires are gonna stay on the outside of those wires. So now you just want to check to make sure that things are looking symmetrical, because it's hard. It's kind of hard with this one. Things can get bent out of place pretty easily here. All right, so try to focus on these two wires, having them in the places that you want, kind of here on the edge. So they're both the same distance from the edges, so you don't have one like closer to the center than the other. And then we're going to take these inner wires and we're going to wrap them around to just kind of lock things in place. So kind of pull it through here. And then if you see, it's kind of hard to make a super tight little wrap just by hand. So I'm just taking my pliers to help me tighten that up nicely. And now here on the other side, we're gonna do that too. So first, just with my hand, I wrap it around. And then I'm just coming in here with my pliers and just to tighten that up. There we go. So then you want to just double check these wires, kind of straighten them out if there's like a little bend that got put in them. Center your stone in there, because the stone will kind of wobble still, so you want to center the stone in there. I'm just going to just temporarily kind of push these wires out of the way, these two wires, so that we can work with these here. So with these up here, we're going to make the bail, and to make the bail, I'm going to take one of them, bring it here, and then just kind of in the middle of that area, I'm going to put a little bend. And I'm going to do that with the other one as well, trying to just kind of keep it symmetrical. And now we can weave the bail on these two wires. So you can weave the same pattern that we did on the bottom, or you can weave another pattern. I'm just going to do a slightly different pattern because this one is kind of not symmetrical if you're using it for a bail. You know, one side of the bail is going to have this and the other side is going to have this. So I'm just putting it here, And the pattern I'm going to weave, and I have a tutorial just on this pattern where I go nice and slow if you need to learn it, if you don't already know. So I'm wrapping around the bottom, I'm wrapping around the top, and then I'm wrapping around both. And I'm leaving mine spaced out so you can kind of see the wraps. So bottom and top and both. But when you're doing this in real life, you don't want it to be really spaced out. You want to press that little pattern together nicely, like that. So you just want to repeat this for a while until it's like up to here, because it's going to be a bail and we're going to bend it. All right, so now that I am done, this is tall enough to be my bail. I'm going to go to the back and I'm going to trim my wires here on the back. That way my wire ends will be hidden. And I'm just going to press down on the wire ends so they're not sticking up. And this ended up being about 1 inch. So now we just need to bend it in the shape of a bail. So you can use some kind of tool or you can just do it by hand. Like this. That's our bail. I'm just going to separate these little wires here. So here's what that looks like. I'm just separating them. So each is going to the side. And now I'm just going to tighten this up so that these two wires kind of look the same. There isn't one that's like more on the side or anything. So I'm trying to get them symmetrical up here, up top, like this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these wires from the bail and I'm going to feed it in through this gap. Okay, so it's starting here. It's coming from the back, just kind of here to the edge, to the center of the edge, and then I'm just kind of pressing it down, and it's going through the bail, through this hole on the bottom, like this. And same thing here. So now it looks like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these wires and I'm going to bend them up and I'm bringing them across the stone, and they're gonna kind of crisscross up here at the top. So now that I got them out of the way, I can get back to these here. So what I'm gonna do is just wrap it all the way around. So let me just zoom in. Sorry if it's loud, there's a bit of construction going on right outside. And I'm just gonna trim this one. Trying to make little wire ends so they'll end up kind of inside of this rather than going all the way through and poking out the other side. All right, so that worked. It's kind of right in there. This one, I think I should have cut a little shorter. Oh, that's okay. There's a little wire end, so it's not sticking out the back. All right, so this part is finished. Now we just have to finish the top here. So I'm just gonna come to the back and I'm gonna bend these two wires like this. And then to finish them off, I'm just gonna trim them short. Actually, this one is a little bit longer than the other. There we go. And I'm gonna take the end of them and I'm gonna curve it inwards. Because I wanna kind of close it up, like a little loop that you're closing up. So I'm just pushing it in there, pushing that little wire end in there. You can kind of see it there. And here you can see it a little better from the front. All right. And then this one as well. I'm pushing it in. Here it is here. On the other side, and I'm just trying to kind of close up that little loop there and hide the little wire end. I know it's not hidden very well on the other side. I'll try to hide it better in a minute. All right, so here is what it looks like. It came out looking pretty funky, like a little alien pendant or something. Let me just see here. Let me just push this up a little bit so it's symmetrical to the other side, because on the other side you can't see that much of the stone. It's kind of going up on the edge of the stone. There we go. And it almost reminds me of like a little mushroom. I wonder if you made the bottom, instead of pointy, if you made it a little longer and skinnier, it would be, I think it would look like a mushroom. So anyway, this is what I came up with. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!